How are you, Dan?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Gassy. Very gassy. Yeah. Holding in a fart right now, to be truthful. I'm wearing the same thing I wore last night. I walked home. Yeah, Super Bowl party was like about a mile away. I was like, I can hoof it.
I want to talk about this, and I want the audience to see and hear just how washed this show is, because Stugotz is always right. Stugotz always wins at the end somehow. Private jet to Syracuse because he plans everything poorly. It's unbelievable. But he has said for a while now, today should be a national holiday. Everyone should have it off. We are a sports show. We are a sports show ostensibly of young people. And this show is washed. It took Roy last week after the NHL All-Star game. It took him till Friday still eating comfort food because he was still hungover from the weekend. Stugotz is not here yet. Billy is crawling in right now after Super Bowl week. Jessica, I haven't seen her in a week. How are you doing?
You must not have listened to Golic and Smetty last week then. Or watched any of the content I made with our partners at PGA Tour 2K23 at TPC Scottsdale.
But that means I haven't seen you. Just because I see you on a video screen isn't the same as seeing you or hearing you or interacting with you.
Phone works two ways, Dano.
How are you feeling? Are you as washed as the rest of the crew? Because Whittingham looks defeated.
I'm prepared. I brought Tums for the whole group today. I've been distributing them like they're Tic Tacs.
Chris Cody, what kind of shape are you in?
No Tums for me, Dano. I'm good. I focused on food yesterday because I was like, I've gotten to the age where it's like, I can't just drink a lot and eat a lot. So it's like, you know what? Today I got to work tomorrow. Today's going to be an eating day. So I'm not feeling great. But I'm not as tired as I normally would be.
So you've gotten
My wife hated me this morning. We've all been there, right? 6 a.m. when they just start flying.
What?
I mean...
Farts.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, that is really unpleasant. Whittingham, why are you laughing that way?
Just the idea of 6 a.m. being awoken by just Chris being gross.
No, it's got to be machine gun fire in the morning after.
Only me. I'm sure you guys all were just, clean as a whistle.
Wait, let's not get defensive immediately. You're the one who volunteered that there's a fireworks show in your bedroom at 6 o'clock in the morning.
I did.
Because you've eaten too many burritos. Last night is a night that you as a dad are already, I have to choose either food or drink. It cannot and it must not be both.
Right. I'm trying to be responsible. Like I could have done both, but then I would be in. Oh, you've seen me. Remember last Super Bowl? I'm ready to go
we
today.
Remember. We'll never forget the smell.
Yeah.
I am stunned that Billy is in any kind of shape to be here today. I'm looking forward to checking in with him. He has just staggered in, computer under his arm. Because last week,
what happened to me?
Had to be.
Am I okay?
Last week had to be a rollicking mess. It had to be something that required a lot of work from you. So I would imagine you'd be very tired.
I'm good. I was built for this, Dan.
Yeah.
And so your takeaways from yesterday were you excited by the game? Because it was a wonderful game, and
a bit of a ending. You know what I mean? Like it was a great game. The end was like,
I know we can get in. I know we can get into all of it eventually, but the real thing that's got the conversation flowing in here this morning is Rihanna. I know we're going to get to it, but I thought it was, I enjoyed it, but there's some people around here that didn't enjoy it. So,
who?
The guy in between you and I, Billy, to my right. But
was it a polarizing halftime show? People wanted more fireworks. It wasn't enough for them that they shoot a pop star into the sky?
I would say no, it was not. It was not polarizing. It was largely well received. But I thought most of it was fairly meh. And then at the end of it, Rihanna was suspended from the ceiling of the stadium. It was like, holy shit, Rihanna, that is dangerous. Like
unnecessary. It seemed unnecessary to me. The risk didn't seem worth the reward.
When they show the shot of her on the platform and the platform's kind of swinging a little bit, I was like, whoa, this has some disaster potential written all over it. But I mean, fair play. She finished that song brilliantly, and the ending and the kind of crescendo was brilliant. I just thought the rest of it was like her Spotify playlist, which, by the way, is filled with a ludicrous number of number one hits. Like, just hit after hit after hit after hit. But, like, I could have listened to it on my drive home.
Jeez.
For the most part.
Are you the minority opinion on this?
Absolutely. Absolutely. She is.
That's more disgusting than Chris's farts this morning.
Which part, though, Jessica? Because you have to be amazed that she's up in the sky like that. The risk did not seem to be worth the reward. The highlight of the show was not her talent or her music. It's like, oh my God, she's suspended in the middle of the sky.
Pregnant, which her rep confirmed after the show, because apparently her rubbing her stomach in the opening scene wasn't enough for people. Which, although I don't blame people for being cautious, because it's probably wise to be cautious when someone is, alluding to being pregnant but not outright saying it. Fair enough. It's a dangerous game. But I thought it was a great show. She also slipped in an ad for Fenty midway through, which I saw these articles before the Super Bowl, like, oh, Rihanna's not even going to get paid for this. I'm like, that paid for itself. That was the best advertisement for her company, that better than any ad that you saw during the Super Bowl.
Well, I saw reporting going up to the week. I was surprised by this. Perhaps I should not have been. The artists aren't paid to do that halftime show. Apple pays, I don't know how many tens of millions of dollars to be the name of it, but the artist has to do it for free because the advertising is so good for them. And in fact, the report was that The Weeknd spent $7 million of his own money to up the production. They do get a production budget. They get a big production budget, but they're not paid.
They get paid then. I mean, everyone downloads their songs. They get paid plenty. I mean, they do. Every single year it happens. You start downloading their songs. My wife did it yesterday. Didn't have a single Rihanna song downloaded, and now she has all of them.
Really? That's not true.
No, she
That's
did.
a divorceable offense.
I mean, she did it. I'm telling you. Abby did.
You know what I was disappointed by? Is that normally, like, this will kick off, like, a big tour, and, like, obviously Rihanna can't go on a tour now, so I can't go see Rihanna now. Like, I'm very happy that, she's expecting and is going to have another child, but selfishly I wanted to see Rihanna on tour again. Rihanna puts on a good show.
Ticketmaster wouldn't be able to handle that, Billy.
Oh, no. I remember
careful what you wish for.
When Riri comes back, going to put that Taylor Swift disaster to shame. Right, Dan? Are you going to go?
Why are you? Who are you taunting there? You're taunting Taylor Swift fans? Like, who are you going after?
No, did you know?
There?
You know Taylor Swift, a musical artist. There was a whole disaster with the Ticketmaster situation.
Right.
She'd had she'd been years off without traveling. So when she came back, there was quite the demand for tickets, Dan, and Ticketmaster couldn't support the demand, and it was a bit of a disaster. Now, Rihanna, another musical performer who performed yesterday, now has revealed that she's having her second child, so will not be touring more than likely. Will now have to hold off on that tour, probably, I'd say, a good year, maybe two. So when the 2 years come by, it's been many, many years since Rihanna has gone on tour. And the expectation for this halftime show was so high, and people were so excited, thinking this will be the reunion, this will be the comeback tour, and it's not going to happen. So when it does happen, the demand will be as such that it will surpass the demand of the Taylor Swift tour that happened, and thus the Ticketmaster situation will probably be worse than it was for Taylor Swift, unless it has been addressed.
There you go. You happy you didn't get his pop culture reference the first time, Dan? Jeez.
But who are you taunting?
He wasn't taunting
Not
anybody.
taunting him.
Felt like you were
just
taunting
went over
somebody.
Dan's head.
Yeah,
We
I'm
gotta
with
find
Dan.
out.
It felt like I don't know.
No, he's not
Super
taunting
Bowl should be on
anybody.
a Saturday.
Just saying it's
No
going to
one.
be a mess, just like it's going to be an even bigger mess than the Taylor
Just
Swift
me
thing.
and Jess are talking about
No,
Riri. What's the
Don't
big
worry,
deal?
Billy. Congress is handling it.
Okay,
It
good.
seemed to me like Billy was spitting as if Jessica's a Taylor Swift fan.
No.
That
Swiftie.
That Ticketmaster couldn't handle Taylor Swift's demand, and you were taunting her with the idea that Rihanna is going to sell even more tickets, make it even more of a disaster. It seemed like you were coming after Jessica on it.
Don't pit us against each other. Dan.
Exactly. The Riri Navy and the Swifties can, be one and the same. It's
I
not a
also
big
don't
deal.
know if Rihanna ever will go on tour again. I feel
God,
like
don't
this
tell me that.
this seemed like it was it for her. Like, she ascended. She's here. She's a businesswoman now. She's
Swan
selling,
song?
No.
She's selling makeup and clothing and
Yeah.
apparel, and everyone loves it. She's a billionaire. She doesn't need to go on tour.
If
She
that
doesn't
was
need to
the
perform.
if that was the end, she should have ended with "Take a Bow," and then that would have been
Oh,
such a graceful
Billy!
ending to her career on the stage with child. Come on and take a bow, and then just fade to black, and then we go to commercial and we see Tostitos or whatever. Oh, God, Dan, what a moment it would have been. That's why my heart is open for more Rihanna in the future.
How do you feel about that performance? Because Whittingham's sitting right next to you, and he is blaspheming.
Yeah, but he doesn't know shit. It was fine. It was a good performance. I mean, she was pregnant. What are you supposed to do? I will say this, and I will get some flack for saying this, and I don't mean this in a disparaging way in any way, but Rihanna really did a disservice to the excuse of I'm pregnant, I can't do it. Because anytime anyone says I can't do it, I'm pregnant, it's like, well, Rihanna did a halftime show. You know what I mean? Like, she was floating over the sky. And I don't mean that in an insulting way. I'm just saying, like, Rihanna, come on. What are we doing here? We're doing a disservice. Incredible performance.
Do you think that the majority of the audience had the reaction that Whittingham had, where even if you were saying, well, I'd like more pyrotechnics, I'd like something more from my halftime show, that we were all looking up at the sky and being like, how high up is she? Why is she up there? What's happening? That seems deeply dangerous. Does she have some sort of harness?
I wasn't thinking that. I was thinking this is freaking awesome. I'm assuming she's got harnesses and stuff and she's
she
safe.
has some sort of harness.
I'm with Dan. I was concerned for her. I mean, I'm totally with Dan.
Oh my God.
I was like, this
long
is
fall.
This is a really cool set. That's
You
what I
guys
was thinking.
all have a generalized anxiety disorder.
You would have felt totally safe up there, Jessica.
No, but I wouldn't have done that. I like that Fox also came back from commercial after halftime to analyze the halftime show. And they were like, didn't really know what to say. And they're like, well, I know one thing. We would have been too scared to be up that high. And I'm like, what is this? Just give us another Rihanna song. Why are we listening to this right now?
They were like trying to do the, whoa, look how high that was. That was like all the way up there.
Strahan also did Look at Me Louie, didn't he? Trying
Jesus, of course he
to
did.
get an
Yes.
interaction
Yes.
with her as she left
They
the
had
field.
a video of him like saying, or she said hi to him or something like that, and it was very strange.
Well,
They had,
no,
like,
he chased after her. She said hi to him, but it was a total look at me, Louie moment.
Yeah, and they had like the
Yes.
cameras on it, so I was like, this is staged. What are we doing?
Is Stugotz right that nobody's right today? That nobody in sports is right today?
What?
That everyone's polluted? That everyone's
Oh,
washed?
no, that no one's feeling all right.
Yes.
Because there's plenty of people that were saying Mahomes is pretty great.
Yeah.
No, I'm not talking about.
I was correct.
I mean, those two teams. Wait a minute. Those two teams were basically the same, were they not?
No.
Well, one team won, the other lost.
One team
Yeah.
won. One team overcame a 10-point deficit at halftime to win with their quarterback with a high ankle sprain and their all-time tight end.
What was Travis Kelce doing though with nobody respected us? They were like everyone has them as had them as one of the
He was
favorites.
listening to God Bless Football, I guess.
It was just like he's like, for all you didn't have us, put our name, like keep us out your book. I don't know if he
Okay.
wanted
Everyone
us-
had him.
It was so weird.
I saw that, and I thought he was referencing Fox because the Fox pregame show, everyone picked the Eagles, no one had the Chiefs. And he said, you guys, and I thought he was just talking to like the Fox broadcast people. But then I saw everyone on Twitter was like, I hate this manufactured adversity, blah, blah, blah. But like, I will say, not a lot of people were that high on the Chiefs to start the year after they got rid of
The
Tyreek
Bills
Hill.
were the pick, but
Yeah.
the next pick was the Chiefs. Like when you're saying it's consensus, it's either Chiefs or Bills. You're one of the favorites. Like you can't say we were disrespected.
But they were an underdog.
But I do-
Oh, there's Super Bowl Monday for you.
That's what I'm talking about.
I did think he was talking about the broadcast because that picture was going around when everyone picks the same team and then
Right.
the other team's going to win because that's how it works. in
I could
sports.
see how that would be misunderstood, though, that he would just be talking to the camera or their crew and saying, you guys picked against us, and we thought it was a defiant, because I took it the way Chris Cody did. What do you mean people doubted you? Everyone knows how great you guys are.
the best quarterback ever.
Everyone
That's what when the Georgia dude, the Georgia football player, no one believed in us.
Now that's ridiculous.
I mean, but this is how many times have Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes been underdogs? It's one of the few times in their careers that they don't actually have to manufacture the doubt.
I mean, there was doubt at halftime, though. I think the odds flipped like drastically. If you picked the Chiefs at half, probably made a decent amount of money off that bet.
they were down 10, and Mahomes goes into the locker room with the ankle injury. So I imagine they were trying to capitalize on the market. But it's never been a better time to be a coach trying to manufacture nobody believes in us, because there's always somebody. There's always somebody who will say a thing. There's a clip on social media. There's a Stugotz out there somewhere that is going to help you coach, with your nobody believes in us narrative.
You are so right about this. This is what has happened with everyone having a microphone. It is easier for them to make it us against the world because somebody out there on Twitter has said, I believe the Chiefs should be an underdog, and that is the greatest indignity that Travis Kelce has ever heard. Because the Eagles are really good too, but you don't believe what I'm saying, which is if those teams played 100 times, it would be pretty close every time because those teams are really similar. And in the second half, the Chiefs just perfected offense. It couldn't.
Can they play 100 times?
I'm down for that.
Yeah, let's see them play 100 times.
Yep.
I would love that.
But somebody had to lose that game is my point.
Someone had to lose, Dan. Someone had to win. You're right. It does feel they felt like evenly matched teams, to answer your question. And I feel like if they played 10 times, it would be a 3-point game just about every single time, one way or the other. I'm not saying one team would win every single time, but that was the definition of whoever touched the ball last was winning that football game.
Didn't the Eagles touch the ball last?
Yeah, but whoever touched the ball last within reason, Mike, okay? Within
8 seconds
reason.
left.
With a
Mahomes could have
reasonable
scored with
amount
8
of time.
seconds left.
No way.
Too much time for
no
Patrick
way.
Done it with
Mahomes.
13.
Yeah, no.
I think we all went into the game knowing those are two excellent teams, and we all left the game saying those are two excellent teams.
Yes.
But there was a route towards Eagles domination, if not for that Hurts fumble in the first half, because there was that period where the Chiefs do the dumb thing of not going forward on 4th and 3, and then they have a 3 and out in their next drive, and then the Eagles have the ball, and they can very easily take a 2-score lead. And instead, Jalen Hurts fumbles for a touchdown. The Chiefs' offense was not very good in the first half. You look at the time of possession numbers, Mahomes' numbers coming out of halftime.
Well, wait a minute. It's not that Chiefs weren't very good in the first half. It's that the Eagles had the ball for a 17-play drive, and
The Chiefs had the ball for 8 minutes.
they just had the ball the entire half. Like, that's not the Chiefs' offense being bad. That's just the Chiefs' offense not being on the field.
That's fair. I guess there was the one possession where they went 3 and out, but like it felt like in that game, that's a high stakes big moment where if you don't move the ball a little bit on an offensive drive, that you could potentially find yourself behind very quickly.
Well, the 3 and out was when they didn't call a penalty.
Right,
It was
on
a very
Smith-Schuster,
clear
yeah.
hold, and now we're all talking about the penalty that they did call.
Take me through that, because I can't believe in a game where you're talking about that kind of excellence. Two teams we know to be great at football, unbelievably precise. At any point in that game, Stugotz, you can make the call that decided it at the end. Somebody's grabbing somebody's wrist, somebody's grabbing somebody by the waist, and it's either seen or not seen, because it's hard to cover these slithering snakes of people when they're cutting on a dime and they're unbelievable athletes. You guys tell me it's unsatisfying to have a game decided in a way like, oh, I don't want it to be about a call. Like, let that one go in that situation. I think if you're not a fan of either team, if you don't have a bet in the game, I think all of us watching are saying, don't decide it that way.
I didn't like it. It didn't feel like a call you should make in that moment, but the guy who they called the penalty against said he was holding. I mean, it
My
helps
hero,
a little bit.
My hero, because how much of the post Super Bowl coverage is about this call? If not, like, I feel like he turned down the percentage from like 80% to 10%,
right,
by merely admitting.
Right.
Also, just like integrity, sportsmanship. I like those things. Went off me, coach. It was a great moment for integrity in sports.
It's not stopping the national media.
It's certainly not stopping Philly fans. I promise you that.
Oh, yeah, okay,
Yes.
they'll have a go, but like
Right.
I was listening to like several podcasts on the way in, and they were like, well, the call, but also. Like the fact that he admitted that it was a hold allowed everyone the out of, all right, we don't have to spend all day talking about this. Let's talk about how cool the game was. Let's talk about other stuff, because the refereeing conversation was nauseating. Everyone bringing up Roger Goodell saying before the game, refereeing is as good as it's ever been, was nauseating. I hate this as a subject matter, and I'm glad that it's largely taken out of our arsenal.
I don't like sliding at the 1 yard line.
Oh,
Not a fan.
I was so happy to see it.
I
Finally,
love the
someone
sheer
did
panic.
it.
The sheer panic in Greg Olson's voice. Get down, get down.
I didn't love that. It
What
made
do
it
you
really.
mean?
It was. It made the end of the game boring.
I understand what
Did you
Billy's
have
saying.
McKinnon to
I
score a
wanted to
touchdown?
see a shootout at the
Right.
end of that game.
It stripped us of what could have been a great ending.
Uh-huh.
But
McKinnon
Andy,
anytime score.
but they did the right thing.
Oh.
I mean, they did.
was a
Billy,
great thing.
Cowards.
Andy Reid did what you would have done in that situation.
No, I wouldn't have.
Yes, you would have.
Cowards. By the way, Vic
would you have done,
Fangio. Has the ink dried on Vic Fangio? Because we gave up a score every single drive in the second
Thanks.
half.
Fangs, I had not seen this before. Had you guys seen the Eagles hired him on a 2-week consulting contract? He's 0-6 lifetime against the Chiefs. I don't know if this makes it 0-7. And he couldn't.
Well, of course it does.
Well,
I
but
mean,
he wasn't the head coach. I don't.
So what?
He would have gotten a ring.
He was just a consultant.
Would he
Right.
have?
Really?
No, that's what
Oh,
they
he
said.
definitely would
I
have
heard it
gotten
on the
a ring,
pregame
yeah.
show that he would have gotten a ring, which is
Yes.
wild. Just
Yes.
swoops in
2
for
weeks.
2 weeks.
rental.
That's a heady
Stugotz of
play.
coaching.
Yeah.
But he didn't stop him at all. Like, what did he do? What did he tell? What secrets did he give the Eagles? Every time it was 3rd and 4, I saw Chief running into the end zone with no one near him.
He said, when there's a pre-snap motion, everyone just go to one side and let's leave a Chiefs player wide open.
But make sure it's Kelsey. Make sure that open player is Kelsey.
It was looking like a great rental in the first half, Dan. I mean,
And historically, those Broncos teams, I know that they didn't beat the Chiefs, but they did give them a little trouble. You know, made Patrick Mahomes work.
Let's play a game called Sentences That Were Said at your Super Bowl party last night. Here's one. How's Kelsey always open?
It doesn't make any sense. Like, they all know you don't need to hire Fangio on a consulting contract. Hey, don't leave Kelsey open. But it seems like you saw a couple of those plays where Goddard wasn't open and he caught it anyway because he's a Frankenstein and the defensive back isn't as big as he is. And Goddard is half of what Kelsey is. How is that possible?
I don't know.
Kelsey probably was all prop unders, right? Kelsey was held down in that game, correct? Like
I think he had the over for yardage. He was under the total amount of catches. I think was 7.5, but he was over on yardage.
My point is, if I asked you before the game, Philadelphia, this is the game Kelsey's going to have. You good with it? Don't you think they take that?
8 for 81 and a touchdown. Yeah, probably.
That's like
Yeah.
that's a below average Kelsey game at this point.
So we should clarify, Vic Fangio was actually hired to help Philly's offense prepare against Kansas City's defense, not to help not to help
Good
Philly's
job, Vic.
defense.
Great job.
Sign him to an
thanks.
extension.
That's he's a defensive coach. What are they doing?
Good job.
My bad then. I assumed
Helping the offense.
I assumed that they hired Fangio. I thought he was a defensive mind. Why would you hire?
I mean, I get it because he might know what they're gonna do, but
Right,
it just doesn't make
exactly.
sense. This is stupid.
It worked. 35
It's a good
points.
report to put out there, like right before the game, just in case.
Yeah.
shit
By the
goes
way, I
south.
help the offense.
You know what really?
The offense was really good. So
Specifically, Jalen Hurts runs. That's what I
the
did.
Dolphins should hire him as their offensive coordinator.
All right. So how is he always open is on the board. I'm going, ooh, is she pregnant? You think she's pregnant? Is that on the board? Yeah.
I got one. Is she actually singing? It was asked. I think she was at the end at least. I don't
She
know.
wasn't.
No, they pre-record all those. Every single one. They have to have a backing track just in case something goes bad.
That
And
Toradol's feeling good.
what did they shoot him up with? Yeah. No, that some variation of that.
on the run, right? When he's slithering through the secondary for 40 yards and he's running faster than their line.
I'm gonna volunteer. Tails never fails.
Thank you.
That was uttered.
Thank you. Thank you.
Tails.
Hey, that coach is crying.
So the movie is about a bear on cocaine.
Who has the remote?
Wait, what?
The Tubi commercial.
Yeah, that Tubi commercial.
Oh, yeah, the
effed
Tubi.
a lot of people.
Oh,
up.
I got my friend. Yeah.
That Tubi commercial.
I knew that Eminem's thing was a stunt.
Miles Teller's so hot.
Melvin Gordon's on the Chiefs?
He is?
He put out a picture on Twitter of him holding the Lombardi trophy.
Congrats.
A commercial for Jesus?
Elon Musk should be running his app and not be at the Super Bowl with the Murdoch family.
So they put up Murdoch and Musk, and everyone had an opinion on that. Just those two people being in a box together. How about, did everyone have an opinion immediately on whatever the marketing meeting was on who do we seat next to Goodell to give off maximum American football?
I felt so bad for Donna Kelsey because, like, respectfully, do you think Donna, like, if Donna Kelsey could choose any seat, like, to watch the
She's
game,
like, where am I sitting?
yeah, why? Like, I have to sit next to the like my pregnant daughter-in-law is here. She may give birth in the booth. The OBGYN is here. I have to go to that booth. Like,
I
why?
got to sit between Roger Goodell and deep fake Damar Hamlin. That was another conversation. I was at a conservative party.
No way. No. People still thinking. No, people still thinking.
That was the real Damar Hamlin.
Yes.
The fake one died.
Regardless,
Excellent.
in the prop next to the mother.
Had that conversation.
R.I.P.
In the,
UFOs. That was a big topic.
oh, that one.
Yeah.
Was this Chinese spy balloon just a U2 commercial?
Mm-hmm. Should the Super Bowl be on a Saturday? Thank you.
Why isn't the government telling us what's being shot down?
They're still inspecting the wreckage. Come on. You should tell me if there's a little green person there. I didn't want to assume the identity.
Do you want to know?
Yeah, I want to know.
Really?
Yeah.
There have to be, yesterday, you guys are sure of this, right? In the middle, if there's one thing that's going to cut through, straight through the divide of whatever it is that the divisions are in this country, it's what are we shooting down in the sky? Why aren't they telling us? Is it aliens?
Or Michael Keaton as Batman.
Dude, I forgave Ezra Miller.
Were the commercials good? Because I kept watching and thinking to myself, man, they're spending so much money on these, so much time, so much talent, so much creativity. Why can't people make good ones that aren't just animals and talking babies?
Let me tell you something. Only one person's allowed to give the inches speech from any given Sunday.
Oh,
I don't think that person, as great as she is not Serena Williams.
Mike, I don't think
That's a fair point.
I don't think the grand majority of people watching Serena Williams do that have any idea that was Al Pacino in Any Given Sunday.
Well, then it must have landed terribly, because that's the only thing that was a saving grace was, oh, that's cool that she's doing the Any Given Sunday thing. Otherwise, it might have.
Did you guys recognize what that was? I'm guessing the grand majority of audience watching a commercial, a liquor commercial, where Serena Williams is giving hackneyed cliche to inches. I'm guessing most people have no idea that was Al Pacino in a leather jacket giving a terrible speech in Any Given Sunday. One of the worst I've ever heard.
I started out loud laughing just because of the absurdity of like that speech in that movie, because I mean the movie's ridiculous, and then you put those words in Serena Williams. It was out loud, unintentional comedy, laugh out loud funny for me.
The ad agencies just aren't funny anymore. Like, they can't keep up with what is trendy and popular because they're planning out these commercials like 8 months ago, and we've already moved on. Like, we have the internet and social media and TikTok now, where humor and what's culturally relevant is flying at the speed of light. And these things that they're doing like a half of a year ago to advertise at the Super Bowl, just like, who is it for? It's for like a weird age demo. It's always the same like 10 celebrities in every single commercial, and it just like isn't funny. Like, the commercials haven't been funny for years, I feel like, and it has to be because we just are inundated with humor all the time, and it's just like we just don't need this anymore.
I had not considered what Jessica is saying, which if network television and the idea of commercials is already dated or fading as people go to streaming, Stugotz, I didn't realize that people had already gotten tired of the commercials. I thought the commercials were still something that people were looking forward to and celebrating, and that yesterday would have felt like disappointment because the commercials didn't seem to be very good. But Jessica, you're saying this has been for years? For years now, the commercials are bad as content.
Can you think of any funny commercials, like really funny, culturally relevant, lasting commercial campaigns from the last 5 years?
I think we're also overstating how much they used to like the cultural relevance of old. Like, I don't remember a big time Super Bowl commercial since like what's that or like whatever. Like it's been a long time.
Where's the beef?
I mean that was 20 years ago. It's been a long time for these.
It's been a long time. That's what I'm saying.
Stugotz, where's the beef is like 1980s.
It's the last one I remember. I mean,
35 years ago is the last commercial that you remember.
time to make the donuts. I mean, it's a classic.
Witty, you might be right, but that's because they've all sucked lately. So it just reinforces my point, really.
Is there anyone who's like pining for like I need to get behind commercials? Like, is there someone who needs to feel like an emotional attachment to the commercials?
I thought that part of the Super Bowl experience as an entertainment vehicle, not that long ago, it's the whole spectacle of the thing. It's the halftime show is big, twice as long as the normal halftime show. It's a live production that's a little bit dangerous with a giant star, a live concert. It's football doing everything huge and big, and football captivating from 4 p.m. to midnight, you with programming. I thought that's what we were doing, all of it. Commercials, that you're sitting around to be inundated with the new stuff. And you're telling me the viewing habits of people have changed, that that's not how we're doing it anymore, that that's an old style way of watching the Super Bowl.
That's another submission for our game. It's, will you guys shut up? Because everyone's always talking at these parties. You got to have one room. If you're going to have a Super Bowl party, there's one room that's the game room where people can talk during commercials. And then there's the commercial room where it's like you talk during the game and you shut up during the commercials. You can't do both because some people don't care about the game. Some people care way too much about the commercials. It's like, dude, you can if you care that much, watch them later on the internet. Like, don't be the guy that's like, hey, well, everyone shut up. I can't hear what Miles Teller's saying. It's like he's just dancing with his wife, dude. He's not saying anything.
Miles Teller's married? That was one at my Super Bowl party.
What a fun couple they seem like, though.
They do seem
What a
cute,
likable commercial
charming.
it was. Just enjoying a brew. I won't say which one.
Folks at Remy Martin. All right, we got Serena Williams. She's doing the Any Given Sunday speech, and she's selling you Remy Martin. What?
That came across her desk, and she's like, you know what? I want to show my range.
She was in so many commercials, right? There was that whole Caddyshack ad campaign, which I've been watching. It was on during like every NBA game this weekend, too. I've seen that commercial now 45 times. They've just inundated us with all of these ads.
Have you seen Caddyshack?
Oh, it's like one of my favorite movies.
The only
Really?
reason I ask is because that's so old that I would think that many people watching that commercial were saying to themselves, hey, that's not Bill Murray. Why? They couldn't get Bill Murray, and then I don't know who that person is playing Bill Murray, not that it's Tony Romo.
Good old Gophers.
That was awful.
Terrible.
I think I slipped into Colin Farrell.
Stugotz, Mike Ryan has turned himself into a hybrid insider, giving information on local news and international news with reporting that is legitimate, connected to deal makers in this loud town where no one can keep a secret and everyone wants to get into the shaking hands power game. Mike Ryan is now an information broker. And so the floor is yours, Mike Ryan, because you have done some reporting over the weekend on international stories and local stories. So what do you have for us, both on the University of Miami and all their coaching decisions and everything around Messi and soccer in this city?
So Jason Candle, who has flip-flopped on this quite a bit, informed the University of Miami, or the people running this job search, that he was going to be returning to Toledo, but he had since flip-flopped again, and I guess this flip-flop is going to go back and forth until Jason Candle either comes to Miami or formally announces publicly that he's returning to Toledo. I guess we can keep him in the discussion as the top candidate, really, until he announces that he's going back publicly. That the waffling doesn't bother Mario one bit. Mario spent the weekend interviewing several candidates. I saw Barry Jackson reported, Major Applewhite, good reporting out of Barry Jackson. Shannon Dawson, the Houston offensive coordinator, who I think is a very impressive candidate, A lot of people may think that he does an air raid thing, but I think ideologically there's a lot more alignment with Mario Cristobal than people know. And it was supposed to wrap up. I heard 5 days ago it was going to take about 3 to 4 days, but Mario and timelines, they don't really mesh. He does his own thing. And latest word that I got is that he wants to speak to more candidates, so he's going to do this on his own time. They're speaking to impressive people. They're trying to reach out to the NFL. One of the interesting things is nobody in the NFL really wants to come to college anymore because it's such a mess. It's not just the NIL, it's the extra year of eligibility that's making things even more difficult because everybody that played during the pandemic and just NFL guys. Nick Saban kind of had to land on Kevin Steele just because, well, he couldn't get Pruitt cleared by the SEC, but also no one from the pros wants to come to college right now. So we'll see what that means for Leonard Hankerson, who's somebody that Mario is interested in talking to. And on the MLS side,
well, hold on a second, though. Witty, you have been out on Mario Cristobal almost since the beginning. You have said you don't like that stylistically. He is someone, I think Spencer Hall said, he's someone who takes filet and turns it into hamburger because he wants to do ground and pound style, and you want space-age offense with great athletes. You don't want caveman-style football. Why are we building around Cristobal's style? Who's winning that way?
I mean, you can say that Georgia and Alabama do.
Yeah, they do.
But I think Miami could go about it a different way. I mean, the thing is that, I mean, this is what you've committed to. You've given Mario Cristobal 10 years. You've basically given him carte blanche because your program does not have enough money to extricate yourself from Mario Cristobal. So you're kind of along for the ride. And I think we'll see that ride's limitations play out because Mario Cristobal has a fairly extensive track record of not being able to turn offenses into high-flying machines that, you know, even, I guess Georgia, for as much as their offense can sort of beat you into submission, their offense still scored 40, 50 points a game last year. So, like, there is a point that you reach, but with Miami, I think this has a ceiling. I think he will build an incredible foundation that somebody else can do something with. I think that is ultimately going to be the long-term feature of this program because this program is always going to lose dumb games. And, like, I don't think Mario Cristobal solves that problem of losing dumb games, of not being able to put games away, of losing games to Virginia and Duke and North Carolina and programs that Miami talent-wise should be better than. They're just never going to solve that problem until they get the highest level coach, and I just don't think that this coach or whichever offensive coordinator that they decide to bring in is going to solve that problem.
Staggering to me that the money has made things so crazy that already Mike's saying, yeah, pros don't want to touch that. Like, they're like, whoa, that's minor league football. That's contaminated. We're not going to have control of anything. I'm going to get there, and the kids are going to be running things, and kids are going to be going to the transfer portal. I'm not going to have any control. I don't want any of that. As Whittingham gives voice to, Mario Cristobal is an $80 million stepping stone. A stepping stone coach, that you can't be, that if the philosophy is going to be, we're going to beat you the way Georgia and Alabama does, no, you're not, because those teams don't lose dumb games.
I mean, they did when they were building. They did. I mean, Nick Saban lost to UL Monroe. Kirby Smart was losing games to Vanderbilt and such. They did when you're building. I'm not going to say Witty is right or wrong. I think time will bear that out. But if you get this talent to where he's aiming to get it, generally, for all the missteps in game management, there's a lot of meathead national champions in that sport. So we'll see what happens. The Jason Candle thing, I think you can tell right now how much he overthinks things. It wouldn't shock you if I told you he was terrible at game management. He lost a game at Notre Dame when all he had to do was just run the ball. So I'm not necessarily thrilled about that because I do want Mario paired up with someone that knows how to manage a game better. And I start getting out on people when it's like, hey, are you in or not? And so I don't really want Jason Candle personally, but he's the top candidate for Mario.
That pro stuff is really interesting, though, because it's not like there's a shortage of money or that, you know, good offensive minds couldn't go to college and make money. And they're just like, I don't know what's going on over there. And I'm basically stepping into a situation where, like, I'm subject to the whims of a bunch of 18-year-olds on rolling one-year contracts. No thanks.
Yeah, and I think Tommy Rees is an exceptional candidate. Mario was interested in him last year, but you see how even the Nick Saban coach reclamation project isn't as sexy as it once was. You got Tommy Rees and Miami's defensive coordinator and Kevin Steele. Those aren't huge sexy hires that he would make in previous years when he would just get NFL cast-offs. People come from the NFL and they want to stay in the NFL. Greg Roman, I think, stylistically plays a type of football that Mario Cristobal would dream of. I poked around. I'm like, is Greg Roman at all interested? No interest in coming to college. It's a mess right now. You're either cut for college, and Mario's certainly made for college. We don't have to worry about him going to the pros, but you have to be a certain personality type to be in this crazy world right now.
From mess to messy.
Messi, I think right now, I don't know if a decision has been finally made. You never really know with Lionel Messi's father, who would historically, he's been kind of slippery and he's not afraid to be the bad guy. But I do know that Inter Miami have only grown in confidence. Right now, everyone in Paris is kind of confused why the extension that was a foregone conclusion hasn't happened. They have the Champions League game this week. I think Messi is trying to avoid being any sort of distraction right now, even though the fact that he hasn't re-signed officially is a bit of a distraction. So you're starting to see some of the pro-PSG reporters out there float that, whether it's pro-PSG propaganda, we don't want him anyways because of financial fair play, or some of them are sincerely plugged in saying Messi's kind of gone back on this. I thought one of the interesting things that I discovered in my reporting for Messi is I found out how close Ronaldo was actually coming to MLS and how impressed he was with Sporting Kansas City and their offer. Sporting Kansas City, for those that don't know, actually play in Kansas, and Cristiano Ronaldo wanted to play in Kansas.
That's crazy.
He wanted to, and it was actually, I don't know exactly.
Great question from Tony in the corner.
Yeah,
why?
Oh, that's just so. I mean, can you imagine
Doesn't have to,
him
though.
going
I mean,
from an international superstar's lifestyle to living in Kansas?
It's wild to me that like none of the big market teams even wanted. Like Cristiano Ronaldo in the last 18 months has completely ruined his stature within the game.
Yeah.
Like
How? Just with that Piers Morgan interview?
No, but
Like,
I
what-
mean, not just with the Piers Morgan interview, but
That's a
also
big part of
no,
it, though.
no, it definitely played a big role. But also the team seemed to be better without him. That's really what's happened. Is that Manchester United? They let him go. They've been great since the World Cup break, largely because he's not in the like. It's very difficult in the modern game to build your team around a forward that doesn't do any defending. And basically all you're doing is catering just balls to him, and everything else that you do as a team is gone.
Like Russell Wilson, is he playing his way out of the Hall of Fame? I mean,
No, I mean
No,
he's done
still-
so
Well,
much
but
in the
no,
game.
he
but-
still has
but-
that
I
kind
mean,
of stature.
Ronaldo though has like a Westbrook like quality right now, where like you look at like the fact that Westbrook is a buyout guy, and everyone's like, well, how come a team doesn't want Westbrook? And there are just front offices are like, I don't want him at any price.
You
I would
guys-
want him at the minimum.
You guys have to be shitting me that we have gone in 18 months, not even the entire pandemic, from Ronaldo and Messi there being an argument about who's the greatest ever to one of them has now trumped what your previous viewpoint was on him, and the other one's totally ruined
Yeah,
that
it's gone.
comparison.
It's gone
I mean,
completely sideways.
none of
for
the LA
Ronaldo.
teams wanted him. None of the New
Right.
York teams wanted him.
It should be-
Miami didn't want him. Kansas City
Well,
was the MLS team that was in.
Miami didn't want him because they were all in, even back then, on Messi.
Yeah.
And they knew that they couldn't get both of them. So they had picked the horse that they were going to back
I mean,
years
there's
ago.
there's so many bigger market
But
teams in MLS that would be more
I should-
sexy to
and
Ronaldo.
You should mention this too. In MLS, there's this kooky thing called discovery rights.
Yeah.
But if I'm with you, before I get to my point, Sporting Kansas City had right of first refusal on a player of Cristiano on this player. And it's a weird thing that's going away. They're going to do away with discovery rights. But because Sporting Kansas City had discovery rights on Cristiano Ronaldo, they were allowed to be the first team to negotiate with Cristiano Ronaldo.
Basically,
That being said-
MLS has a system where you call dibs on a player.
Right. That being said, if Cristiano Ronaldo wanted to go to an LA team and the LA teams wanted Cristiano Ronaldo and wanted to offer a similar deal that Sporting Kansas City was offering, they would have been able to get it done. But there is a reason why a team that plays in Kansas was at the front of the line. Now, I don't know exactly where it went wrong, because if the player wanted the Kansas City offer, why didn't he end up going there? What I will tell you is it seems to be the very start of the breakup between Ronaldo and his very powerful agent, Jorge Mendes. Mendes was gifted a private island by Cristiano Ronaldo. They were incredibly tight, super tight. And what happened with the Sporting Kansas City negotiation and how it went sideways kind of broke them apart, and Ronaldo ended up negotiating the Saudi deal with one of his friends, a different partner entirely. This famous agent-player pairing dissolved, and one of the things that made it dissolve was a negotiation with MLS and Sporting Kansas City, which is crazy how close Cristiano Ronaldo came to playing his professional games in Kansas.
I want imaging for Mike Ryan Insider if we're going to weave from offensive coordinator talk, and we're just going to ignore that. And Jessica, I'm stunned that you haven't made more fun of Mike about this. There was a little bit in the local hour, but for all the talk he has about the coaches, his assistant coach of the year got fired in a year.
I couldn't laugh because then Tommy Rees left to go to Alabama, and The Athletic had Josh Gaddis on their short list of OCs for Notre Dame, and I was like, oh, Jesus, that would blow up in my face. But now that it looks like Notre Dame will be hiring Andy Ludwig, he visited campus last week. He went to a hockey game with Marcus Freeman. It seems like that is imminent. Josh Gaddis got fired after one season. It was the offensive coordinator of the year. That's funny as fuck. I'm sorry.
It was my offensive assistant of the year.
I mean, you loved him.
No, I was like,
Oh, that's
You told
good
us
shit.
he was the missing piece. I
I
mean,
just
the
said he was.
Decoy,
I just said he was a Broyles winner. I didn't.
You were excited. I mean,
Best
Man, how can you not be
assistant in
excited when you
college
get?
football.
But
All right,
in,
guys.
in a year?
Okay, all right.
Dan made me do it.
Yeah, he did.